Good morning, viewers. You're watching India Today Global with me, Ishita Mitra. Now, Indians woke up to a very good news today. Viewers, few hours before, exactly at 1:44 a.m. IST, it was payback time for Pakistan. 14 days after the Pahalgam attack, Indian forces carried out Operation Sindoor, hitting the nerve centers of terrorism across Pakistan. The targets included Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir and also other parts, including Punjab province. Now, it was a successful operation. Indian forces were able to wipe out about 80 to 90 terrorists, and it was a joint and well-coordinated operation by Indian Army, Indian Air Force, and also the Indian Navy. And the targets hit. This act of retribution assumed great significance. Now, in total, 9 targets were hit, and this included operational headquarters of terror groups like Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammad. Now, viewers, this is where Pak-based terrorists used to get their training. This is where they used to plan attacks on Indian soil. So, in a way, this Operation Sindoor is not just a revenge for Pahalgam. It's also a revenge for 2001 Parliament attack, 2008 Mumbai attacks, for Uri, for Pulwama, and also for numerous other attacks that Pakistan has been carrying out on Indian soil over the years. So let's get into the details of this operation and the context against which this was launched. On April 22nd, terrorists linked to Pakistan-based Lashkar-e-Taiba's offshoot, the Resistance Front (TRF), targeted tourists in Jammu and Kashmir's Pahalgam, killing about 26 civilians, including a Nepali national. Now, survivors recounted that terrorists questioned victims about their religion. They were clearly asked if they are Muslims or they are Hindus. And when they did say that they were Hindus, they were shot point blank. Horrific act was captured on videos. It circulated on social media, clearly generating an anger, a lot of anger among Indians. But it took 14 days for the Indian government. But finally, the operators of this attack were traced back to their handlers in Pakistan's inter-service intelligence, prompting Prime Minister Modi to vow accountability. And in response, at 1:44 a.m. IST, India launched Operation Sindoor, a historic tri-service operation involving Army, Navy and Air Force. So this operation precisely involved precision strikes targeting 9 terror hubs across Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. It involved Rafale jets using Scalp cruise missiles. So let's get into the details of this operation now. Now, the operation, monitored in real time by Prime Minister Modi, struck 4 sites in Pakistan. This included Bahawalpur. This was the headquarters of Jaish-e-Mohammad. It also included Muridke, Lashkar-e-Taiba's headquarters, along with Sialkot and Kotli. Now, along with this, 5 sites were also hit in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. This included Muzaffarabad, Bhimbar, Gulpur, Chakamru and Bagh. Now, the strikes employed precision-guided munitions to avoid Pakistan military installations. And let me emphasize on this, viewers, because this is also something that the Indian Army emphasized, and also New Delhi has been emphasizing on, that this was a measured, non-escalatory approach. It did not target the Pakistan's military, which has also been complicit in the attacks carried out against India over the years, but it only targeted the terror hubs, only the sites which have been used by the terror group. So it was a non-escalatory measure. Now, targets included training camps, weapon storage facilities and also communication hubs, all of them being used to plan attacks in India. Let's get into details as well. Bahawalpur and Muridke were on India's radar since the 2019 Balakot strikes as well, but they were not chosen as the site of attack to prevent escalation. But with Pahalgam, this was the nail in the coffin. India knew that enough was enough and something had to be done. With the kind of escalation we've been seeing in terms of cross-border terrorism from Pakistan's side, India had to take a step, a deterrent, a strong measure that could act as a deterrent, and therefore Operation Sindoor was carried out. Now, let's talk about the significance of the targets in this attack. Bahawalpur, if we talk about this, it was Jaish-e-Mohammad's operational nerve center. It was linked to the 2001 Parliament attack and also 2019 Pulwama bombing. Let's come to Muridke now. The Muridke was the Lashkar-e-Taiba's headquarters. It was responsible for the 2008 Mumbai attacks. Remember, over 160 people were killed in the Mumbai attacks. And all of these terror sites have been linked to numerous attacks carried out against India over the years. Also, if we talked about the other sites targeted in this attack, Sialkot and Kotli. These are key transit points for infiltrators into Jammu and Kashmir. Remember, Pakistan's army always uses shelling across the border as a disguise to let infiltrators into Jammu and Kashmir, and these are the key transit points for those operations. Now, the Operation Sindoor symbolizes the nation's resolve to avenge what happened in Pahalgam. And if we talk about India's reaction to this attack, well, India has clearly declared that justice has been served. The government also briefed different envoys, the US, UK, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Russia also. We have seen that earlier, prior to the attack, we had also called envoys from different countries in New Delhi to the South Bloc. We shared evidence of Pakistan's complicity in the attack. And now also we've been told that prior to the attack, we've also been trying to, gather more support globally, trying to isolate Pakistan on the global stage, and therefore different countries have been informed of the attack as well. Now, from what it seems now, viewers, it could just be the phase 1 of retaliation, which means that there could be further action if Pakistan decides to escalate. Meanwhile, just after the attack, the situation on the border has become volatile. We've been telling you on India Today Global that Pakistan has been violating ceasefire along the LOC for 12 nights now, and this was the 13th night. 13 consecutive nights we've seen Pakistan has been violating ceasefire along the LOC, and now the situation has become more tense. Constant shelling, continuous exchange of fire has been taking place along the border. And in fact, we've been told that in the cross-border firing by Pakistan Post, 3 civilians have also been killed on the Indian side. But these escalations, they've been met with calibrated Indian counterfire. We've also been responding proportionately on the border to the constant shelling that we've witnessed. Now, when we talk about Pakistan's response to this attack, of course, it's been denial, and they've also warned us of retaliation. Pakistan confirmed strikes on only 3 targets, but dismissed the others, as it always does, and it's also called them fabricated. But of course, that's not something new. We've all seen that in other attacks also, when it happened after Uri, after Pulwama, the kind of strikes that India carried out, Pakistan completely denied those. So this is something that they've also done at this point of time. Now, Prime Minister of the country, Shehbaz Sharif, called it an act of war, vowing a forceful response as well. Now, let's talk about the military posturing. Well, Pakistan's Air Force was placed on high alert. Artillery shelling also targeted Indian villages along the LOC, as I mentioned before. Now, let's come to the international reactions of this attack. Well, US President Donald Trump called it a shame the way tensions have been rising, between the two neighbors, India and Pakistan, and he also urged a swift resolution. Now, if we talk about the broader implications of Operation Sindoor, well, it underscores India's shift to active deterrence. We've seen that over the years, India has been giving warning to Pakistan to stop cross-border terrorism. We had surgical strike. We also had Balakot, but I feel like this was something that was needed. It was a deterrence. It was not just preemptive strikes. It was deterrence. It was a strong action on terror infrastructure, while also avoiding direct military confrontation. Because again, I want to emphasize, Indian government, Indian army, they did not target military installations in Pakistan. They only targeted terror hubs. So this was a non-escalatory measure. It was a calculated measure that was taken from New Delhi. Now, the operation success, of course, we've been told that about 80 to 90 terrorists have been wiped out. So it lies in its strategic restraint, the way we've been able to only target terror hubs. It also lies in the fact that only terror assets were taken out, and the way we've been able to leverage our diplomatic channels to isolate Pakistan globally. I think all of this, I think the credit goes to the Indian government for the way the strikes have been carried out. However, with Pakistan threatening retaliation and of course the kind of tensions we've been seeing on LOC, of course the region remains on edge. It is going to test a fragile ceasefire which has been upheld since 2021. As both nations now navigate this crisis, the world will be closely watching, aware that any miscalculation could reignite a conflict between nuclear-armed neighbors. For now, India's message is very clear. Cross-border terrorism will incur unbearable costs, but the door for de-escalation remains open if Pakistan acts decisively against terror groups. Remember, this is something that Indian government also emphasized, saying that we did have a window of about 14 days, but Pakistan refused to take any action against the terror groups operating from its soil, and therefore India had to step up, taken action against those terror groups who continue to threaten India's national security. And also we've seen the kind of attack that just took place in Pahalgam. India had to take some action, and Operation Sindoor was the answer. So viewers, this is in a way the crux of all that has happened overnight. The Operation Sindoor, why it was carried out, the way it was carried out, why were the targets chosen, and also the kind of reactions now we've been seeing coming up. Thank you so much for watching this with me, Ishita Mitra. Stay tuned to India Today Global, because we will continue our coverage on the escalations that are now going to take place between India and Pakistan. Thank you so much.